Hello and welcome to Voices of Agriculture here on RFD. This week we're coming to you once again from the Lone Star State of Texas. Here in Central Texas, the corn crop is better than most farmers can remember. Corn is king and the price is high. But as Ed Wolf reports, that is only part of the story.
Like many Central Texas farmers, Jason Niemeyer planted his corn this year with hope and optimism. Now this McLennan County producer is expecting a crop with yields considerably higher than years past.
If we get another rain or two, if it don't get too hot and we catch another rain or so on this corn, it ought to average 100 to 130 bushels pretty easy. Our weather has been probably ideal this year. We've gotten rain pretty much every time we need it. And we didn't get too much rain. That's another thing. We can get too much rain and it can hurt us just as bad as not enough rain.
Though the expectation for this year's crop is high, so are input costs. And this makes Jason, along with other producers, concerned about the future.
Fuel and fertilizer is our biggest cost. We're spending more on that than we used to spend on the whole crop for everything. We go to running tractors pretty hard and heavy. We're probably averaging $5,000–$10,000 a week in diesel.
Granted, we have good crops this year, we have good prices this year, but they're also worried about what's going to happen next year. They're looking into the future more now than what we used to in the past. And that's the concern to them, is what's going to be the fertilizer and fuel costs next year.
With the high price of corn, many are blaming farmers like Falls County producer Jason Dietrich for high food prices. But the main culprit, approximately 44%, are soaring fuel and energy costs.
With the price of fuel going up, we don't have anything to do with that. We're trying to help the situation instead of hurting the situation.
Fertilizer went up because of fuel. Corn seed went up because of fuel. Equipment went up because of fuel. When you get in the grocery store and your bill's higher at the cash registers because it took fuel to get all that there and get all that made, that's where your price increase is.
The growing ethanol industry has increased the demand for corn, and producers across the United States, including those in Central Texas, have risen to the occasion.
They gave the American consumer, the American public, exactly what they asked for. It was a perception that we were going to go greener, we were going to produce it inside the country, and the farmers reacted. They grow more corn in response to it. We built the ethanol plants in response to it. We gave them exactly what they asked for.
In fact, recent studies have shown because of increased biofuels production, we are actually paying 10 to 15% less at the gas pump, a savings of up to 50 cents per gallon. Back in Central Texas, growing conditions have been ideal, but these farmers will sleep better once this crop is harvested.
Corn's high and everything else is high. You don't have a profit made till every kernel is in the bin. That's when your profit's made. There's always something that can happen.
It's going to feel great knowing that we have that 100 bushel yield and it's in the bin. But, it's going to be short-term lived because we're going to have to start preparing for next year and realizing what the fertilizer costs will really be next year.
For Voices of Agriculture, I'm Ed Wolf in McGregor.
Thanks, Ed. From Central Texas, we go to the border between Texas and Mexico. For several years now, Mexico has not allowed breeding cattle to enter that nation from the U.S. because of the BSE outbreak of recent years. But that border has recently reopened, and Tom Nicoletti has the story.
Since December 2003, American cattle producers have not been able to trade livestock across the Mexican border after a single Canadian-born cow in Washington state was confirmed with BSE. After 4 years of frustration, the trade wall that stood between the U.S. and our neighbor to the south has been torn down.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Texas Department of Agriculture export pens. Bienvenidos a Tejas Amigos.
In Laredo, the Texas Department of Agriculture held a press conference to announce the border reopening and to celebrate the first export of Texas breeding cattle to Mexico since 2003.
What I'm really happy about is that Texas cattle producers now have access to over an $86 million a year market once again. We produce the best cattle in the world, and all we want is open trade and fair trade.
Fair trade that was lost when earlier this year Mexico and Canada struck a deal to resume trading livestock, effectively leaving American producers out in the cold. This prompted Commissioner Staples to close the Texas export pens to Canadian cattle passage, a move quickly followed by Arizona, California, and New Mexico.
It wasn't a hard decision for me to close the Texas export pens to a market that Texas cattle producers didn't have the chance to participate in. I am very pleased, though, that we maintain that open dialogue with our partners. I'm pleased that our friends in Arizona and New Mexico and California joined us in that effort, and that USDA and Mexico worked out an agreement to reopen this border.
Mexican buyers are in the market for purebred herd sires and females as donor cows, mainly Brahman, Simbra, and Beefmaster breeds, and Texas producers are ready to take advantage of this reestablished partnership.
We're anticipating on our ranch this year perhaps as high as $250,000 to $300,000 in sales in this year. So we consider Mexico a major market. They have great cattle down there. I think the border would still be closed if Todd Staples hadn't gotten with other states and slowed down the exports from Canada.
But Commissioner Staples insists this was a collective effort.
And it took a lot of people to make this happen. And I'm just grateful for the persistence of Texas cattlemen, the persistence of our friends, Texas Farm Bureau and other organizations that made this a priority for their industry. And it shows what can happen when you believe in a goal and you roll up your sleeves and help make it happen.
For Voices of Agriculture, I'm Tom Nicoletti in Laredo.
Shortly before that border reopened, a Texas Farm Bureau team on a global agricultural education tour visited Mexico and other parts of Central America. The border dispute was one of the key topics of conversation. Mike Barnett is our contributing reporter, the editor of Texas Agriculture magazine, and he sat down with one of that tour's participants.
Texas Farm Bureau leaders recently traveled to Costa Rica and Mexico as part of the organization's global agricultural education tours. Past tours of Europe, China, South America, Australia, and New Zealand have yielded a rich harvest of ideas, relationships, and experiences for those who participated. Joining us today is Texas Farm Bureau's Ned Meister, who traveled with the leaders to Central America. Ned, why were these two countries chosen?
They were chosen based upon our trade with those two countries. They are very good trading partners, and we wanted to visit with producers of those countries, and the government officials with both countries to help get a better idea of their interests and that we could provide them with our interests.
Give us a quick overview of Costa Rican agriculture. I hear they can grow most anything down there.
Costa Rica is a beautiful country. You've probably heard a lot about rainforest. They have rainforest, a lot of coffee, vegetables, banana plantations, have a good bit of livestock. It can grow just about anything, it seems. As a matter of fact, when they build a fence, they will cut posts, and often after they put those posts in the ground, the post will start growing. You'll have a tree line. So it's really an amazing country. They can grow a lot.
Specifically, what maybe impressed the group about Costa Rica, and on the other side, what kind of disadvantage might they have?
I think the ability to produce food is one of the main things that our members took home with them. It is a very rich country as far as ability to grow. Probably their big problem facing them is I would say the transportation infrastructure. They have very small, narrow roads, main highways going over the mountains, hard to get around, hard to keep any kind of flow of traffic up because of slow vehicles and so forth. So their transportation really needs attention.
You know, it's hard when you're going up a mountain and there are trucks in front of you and not being able to go very fast. And then if you need to go around them, around a curve, well, you wonder if it's a good thing or not. But I have to admit the people in Costa Rica are excellent drivers, but they're daredevils, let's put it that way.
Trade is increasingly important to U.S. producers. Did you find that Costa Rica producers feel the same way? Are they eager to trade with the U.S.?
Yeah, especially the livestock people, they look to the United States for good genetics. They do want to trade purebred stock. They want to be able to bring their stock into their country to help improve quality and quantity of meat. The cattle producers especially really would like to be able to bring in more livestock.
So there is great opportunity for even Texas purebred breeders down there.
The way we read it, I'd say there's some excellent opportunities to move some of our good livestock into Costa Rica.
The biggest issue is the genetics of their animals. They're trying to get a better variety of animals into the country. Most of the influence they have now is Brahman influence. They're getting a few of the Cimbras in, and the gentleman that I talked to yesterday, they were kind of encouraged about the Charolais.
Let's move on down to Mexico. What part of the country did y'all go to, and what kind of operations did you see?
Well, Mexico was really a great part of the trip. We went into Mexico City to start with, and then moved northwest through Guanajuato and Guadalajara, and we saw just a wide and varied operations within that traveling time that we spent. They had dairy industry, milk goat industry, grazing cattle, cattle feedlots, pork, poultry, you name it, they had it. I was amazed. They had very good operations that would compare with the operations we have here.
Something that when you think about Mexico, you just don't think of these operations like that and how they're improving it and taking it. You think of all the little subsistence farms you hear about and things you see along the border. When you get out here into the heart of the country, I mean, this is some pretty rough country, but all these little valleys, they're making the most of it. They put a little water on it. They've got some really good agriculture here.
These people are finding a great advance in improved genetics, improved production, when they can take a superior animal from gathering the eggs from a superior female, combining that with the sperm from a superior male, and putting these embryo into a host cow. They can multiply their production that would normally take years into a calving season or two to have a greater number of superior animals in a shorter amount of time.
Just after this group returned to Texas, USDA reached an agreement with the government of Mexico to open the door to seed stock going into Mexico. In fact, that was a huge topic of discussion between the Mexican cattle leaders and the Texas Farm Bureau leaders. Talk about that a little bit, if you would.
That was probably one of the highlights. The issue was one of the highlights of our trip. When we arrived in Mexico, we went directly to the United States Embassy, met with members of our Foreign Ag Service, and talked to them about our interest of opening the border, being able to trade livestock, bring livestock into Mexico. Upon leaving the embassy, we met with the National Livestock Association in Mexico and had a good discussion with them. And as it turns out, I think we knew this, but as it turned out, they want the same things we did. It was amazing. We were on the same page all the way through. That evening, we hosted a dinner, invited the Mexican Livestock Organization, along with our representatives in the Foreign Ag Service, and let them talk to each other. Significant because our Foreign Ag Service people had never talked to the Mexican producer, and this gave them a real good opportunity for the Mexican producers to tell our Foreign Ag Service exactly what their interests were. And as it turned out, they very much aligned with the interests of the United States.
Do you think maybe that meeting had something to do with this border opening after being closed for 4 or 5 years?
I can't help but believe it had a very positive result. Like I said, our Foreign Ag Service hadn't talked to the Mexican producers face to face. And when they did that, there was a very clear understanding that the Mexican cattlemen wanted our livestock in there.
And this does not deal strictly with cattle. It deals with sheep, goats, everything else, right?
Well, it's going to be able to be multi-specied, yes. There was one farm we went to that raised sheep, not wool sheep, but we call them hair sheep. And he had been going up to New England to get some of his breeding stock. It'll help folks like him.
We're visiting what they call a sheep farm, which is a confinement area for raising ewes and lambs for the Katrina breed. This gentleman's one of the largest purebred breeders in the world. To me, the main thing about this breed of sheep, they're becoming pretty popular not only down here but also in the U.S. is simply because of labor savings that they give us. These sheep don't have to be shorn or anything. They're very parasite resistant, so You take a lot of your ranches now where labor is a problem getting people in to work. Well, there's more and more of them that are changing over to the hair sheep type animal and raising a product just for meat only, not going into the fiber business.
By our coming here, we can share what we do. Each one of our board members that's on this trip has told his story and what he's doing on his farm with these people. We've gotten their story through our interpreter, Saul, and it's been very interesting. I think these people are perhaps gaining something from us, and I hope they are, but I know we're gaining an awful lot from them.
Okay, I know it's hard to wrap up a week and a half, 2-week trip in a few words, but what do you think some of the lessons that were learned from this trip?
Well, I think the big lessons are that agriculture on the other sides of our borders is real important to us who are in agriculture in this country. I think we need to meet often with producers of our neighbors, talk about our common interests and our common problems, and we have many that are common. Work together as producers to come to resolve on the issues and then communicate those issues and resolves to our governments to help make the trade a seamless process to where all of us benefit.
Thank you, Ned, for being here. Gene, it's back to you.
More Voices of Agriculture after these messages.
Are you a Texan? Are you a farmer or rancher? Is Texas agriculture important to you? Do you care about the future of rural Texas? Perhaps you're concerned about property rights, stewardship of the land, and the next generation of farm and ranch families. If any of this describes your thinking, then you belong in the Texas Farm Bureau. Make your voice heard in the organization that is the voice of Texas agriculture. Call your County Farm Bureau office or visit us on the web at www.txfb.org.
Agriculture is Texas' renewable industry, not only growing food and fiber for Texas families, but creating 1 in 5 Texas jobs. I'm Mike Barnett, editor of Texas Agriculture. In our publication, you'll read profiles of the trendsetters of agriculture in the Lone Star State. We'll bring you profiles of farmers and ranchers surviving and thriving on the land and the issues shaping the future of rural Texas. Read all about it in Texas Agriculture, an exclusive benefit of your Texas Farm Bureau membership.
Decades ago, Americans started leaving the farm for other professions and pursuits. The farmers that stayed fed America and much of the world. Today we grow more food than ever, and it's better, safer, and healthier. We live in the land of plenty, thanks to modern agricultural technology and the skills of our farm and ranch families. This message is brought to you by the Texas Farm Bureau, the voice of Texas agriculture. Today's abundance of food and fiber is brought to you by America's farmers and ranchers.
As part of its relationship with Dodge Trucks, the Texas Farm Bureau has conducted a contest to find the toughest Dodge truck in Texas. We have a winner. Ed Wolf has the story.
Texans love their trucks, and if the entries for Texas Farm Bureau's Ram Tough Tails contest are any indication, then Texas Farm Bureau members love their Dodge trucks. After the judges made their final decisions, 3 Tails came out on top. Grand Prize winner Ted Henson from Trinity, and runners-up Andrew Peschick of Hallettsville and Ralph and Laura Mullins from Lufkin. 17 years ago, when Andrew Peschick of Hallettsville bought a slightly used 1991 Dodge pickup, he never dreamed it would still be running today. Dubbed the GOAT by his 4 boys, Peschick drove it thousands of miles per month in the oil fields of South Texas. The old GOAT now has over 600,000 miles on it and still runs like a top.
It has given me absolutely no trouble whatsoever as far as drivetrain is concerned. The transmission, the rear end, the engine has never been touched. Changed oil, filters, and just keeps on going. I feel so confident in a Dodge that I can't see myself driving anything else because of dependability, because of longevity. The reason I went to the 06 Dodge is because the 91 was so good.
That 2006 bright red Dodge 3500 was promptly named the Kid by the Peschick boys. With over 130,000 miles on it, Andrew expects the same reliability as the 91. And the old GOAT? Well, it's retired to the farm, but still earns its keep pulling trailers, building fence, and checking cattle. It was a foggy and rainy night on March 4, 2004, when Ralph and Laura Mullins headed home to Lufkin after doing some work in Groveton. Traveling down Highway 94, Ralph was being very cautious because the roads appeared very slick.
And before we knew it, this car appeared in front of our truck, and we didn't even see its headlights or see it coming. And my husband did his very best to get off the road and out of the way, but we hit the car anyway. Before impact, my husband and I, in that split second, both thought that this was it, that life was over for us. But thank God we were in the Dodge truck. We both came away with minor injuries, and it was amazing. And everyone that saw the pictures after the accident were amazed that we lived.
After the accident, the Mullins talked to a salesman at the local Dodge dealership, and he told them of a safety feature that Laura credits to saving their lives.
In a head-on collision, there is a safety feature that keeps the engine from coming into the cab. It falls down onto the ground. And that happened in our accident.
And what would have happened if that engine would have come in the cab?
It would have killed us. I'm convinced.
This life-changing experience led to the purchase of a new Dodge truck.
We never thought about safety features of a vehicle when we bought one before, and we know that the Dodge truck that we were in was put to the ultimate test.
For grand prize winner Ted Henson of Trinity, the story began in 1967 when his Uncle Robert purchased a brand new Dodge Utililine truck to use in his electrical business in Houston. Uncle Robert drove the truck until his health grew bad in 1995, and the old Dodge was parked under the outside awning of an old barn near Henson's mother's house. Uncle Robert died, and the old truck sat under that awning for 7 years untouched, until Henson, retired from a job overseas, returned home to East Texas and discovered it.
And sure enough, it was in bad shape. There was actually parked under that awning, but there was a tree actually had grown up in that old barn. No one ever went there, and it had pushed the hood. The hood had been open and unlatched, and the hood was pushed all the way back, and the tree was grown up to the roof of that barn. All the tires were flat, and it was just a real old brown looking color where it should have been a white colored pickup. I thought I'd try it anyway, so I came back to my barn, got a tractor, went down there and hooked a chain onto the old truck, cut the tree off at the ground, and then dragged the old truck back out from under that awning of that barn, and then got me a can of gas, went down there, poured a little gas in the carburetor, thinking, oh, I'll try it and see if it'll turn over. It turned over a few times and made no sign of life at all, you know. So I poured a little more gas in the carburetor, got back in there, pumped it a whole bunch of times, and it coughed and started spitting a little bit, you know. And I said, oh man, there may be life in this thing, you know. And so after that, I put a little more gas in the carburetor, tried one more time, and the engine on the old truck started. Unbelievable, I couldn't believe it. It's actually the primary truck that I use here on the ranch to feed cows or to haul brush trailers around. We even hook a cattle trailer onto that truck and haul cattle with it if it's only 2 or 3 cattle.
Henson had the old truck repainted red to match his 3/4 ton Dodge Dually, and the dependable old truck just keeps on running.
I think old Uncle Robert, you know, we used the thing in the parade last year, the little Trinity parade they have here, and rode the Grand Marshal in it. And I really believe Uncle Robert probably was looking down at that thinking, well, that's a good thing for my truck.
For Voices of Agriculture, I'm Ed Wolf in Trinity.
Well, that's our show for this week. Thank you for tuning in to Voices of Agriculture here on RFD. And remember, your voice is important to us too, so drop us an email message at www.txfb.org. We want to hear from you. It's June in Texas, so remember, the fire danger is increasing. Let's be careful out there. Join us again next time for Voices of Agriculture.